My dream started high on a mountaintop, skipping through a field of wildflowers. It was a beautiful day, not a care in the world, and this is how life should be. And without a moment's notice, I was on the California Delta. This is where I should be. This is my home. But as I drove through the sloughs, I noticed bass boat after bass boat on every tule berm, every rock wall, every flooded island, every flat. Hour after hour, bass boat after bass boat. I realized that this was not a dream. This was my reality. This was the California Delta on a weekend.
Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. You are watching In Deep on the Delta, and this is the In Deep on the Delta weekly report for April 1st. If you were out this weekend, you probably experienced the same nightmare that I had with the boat traffic out here. It was a little busy with all the tournaments going on and everyone out for the weekend. So we'll get into that a little later. We're going to start off as usual with the striper report. We're going to do that real quick, then I'll get into the largemouth bass. There's a lot going on out here and it's happening at a rapid pace. So we got a lot to talk about today. Striped bass. Really the best report that I can give so far this year on the Delta. Lots of fish coming in. I've had friends trolling the channel. They're getting good numbers of fish trolling Rebels, and they're getting some nice quality fish in the 8 to 10 pound class. If you're a bank angler, hit the McCollum River. You can throw S-wavers, you can throw bait, you can throw topwaters, getting a lot of fish on the McCollum. If you are fishing around Paradise Point, King Island, most of the guys have been drifting live bait under bobbers. They're going out and catching a few shiners or bluegill and just drifting around the points, and they're all catching fish. There's a good class of fish coming in. Most of them are schoolies, but there's a lot of that, I'll say 8 to 10 pound fish that are being caught. So really good fishing. Everyone seems to be catching fish. Another good point will be that the guys out in the bay, the party boats are doing really well. Their scores have gone up. Everybody thinks there's another big slug of fish that's sitting out there in the bay. So they will be feeding into the system really, hopefully in the next week or two. So striped bass looks like it's really on an upswing, and it's probably going to be really good for the next couple weeks. You guys that are chasing the line sides, get out right now. This is the time to be out there. That's the striper report. I'm going to talk about largemouth bass. I'll give you the water conditions. I'm going to talk about the tournaments that we had. I'll give you all the information from the reports that I've got from Hook, Line, and Sinker and Outdoor Sportsman, and all of the reports that I've been getting. And then I'll let you know what I've been doing out here and what I've been seeing. So we got a lot to go over, so let's go over that really quick. Start off with water conditions. They're absolutely perfect out here. Today, we've got about, I'm going to say 5 or 6 feet of visibility, and that's about what it's going to be. Last week, it clouded up a little bit with all the boat traffic and the wind, but it's cleared up for you guys that are out fishing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, early next week. You should have perfect conditions. Water temperatures have hit that 60-degree mark. I think I was out this morning. It was 59 at 7:30 or so this morning. Yesterday it got up to 63. I believe that for you guys that are coming out the weekend, you're going to probably see 64, 65, maybe even 66 degree water temperatures if we get that 75 and 80 degree daytime ambient temperatures. The water is really heating up quickly, and it's changing the fishing. With all the conditions the way they are, we should be experiencing some great fishing, but it is not great fishing, unfortunately. It's day to day. And I want to start off by talking about a couple of the tournaments that we had, and that'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about, why it's not so great. We're going to talk about the Wild West tournament, and we're going to talk about the Future Pro tournament. And for you guys that aren't tournament guys, or I'll give you a quick background. Wild West, they had the Pro-Am, so the guys that are fishing the pros all are pretty experienced anglers and they know what they're doing. Now, Future Pro is probably a better indication of what's happening for common anglers, and there are some very good anglers in Future Pro, but there's some entry-level tournament guys in Future Pro. So we'll start off with the Wild West. I believe Harvey Pullman won the tournament, and he had 66.9 for 3 days. He had a 27, a 20, and an 18 pound bag. That's good, but I'll tell you, everyone did not experience that. Congratulations to Harvey, great job on that. But out of I think there was around 120 boats, 60th place, the middle of the professional side of the Wild West tournament, was getting about 11 pounds a day. It had 22 pounds for 2 days, and that means those guys were getting about 11 pounds a day. That's middle of the pack for a professional tournament. That is not good for the Delta this time of year. We were all expecting that there was probably going to be some 30-pound bags come in, and that just didn't happen. It just wasn't on. Now let's talk about the Future Pro. They had a 70-boat tournament, and 21.7 won. 21.7 pound bag won the tournament, which is a good bag. Again, it's light for this time of the year. They had a tournament 3 weeks ago, and they had some bags over 30 pounds and a lot of bags that were in that 27 to 29 pound. Same guys, just different day. Here's the catch with the Future Pro. They had only 11 limits out of the 70 boats came in. There were 31 people that didn't weigh in a fish out of 70. That either means they didn't catch a fish, or maybe they caught 1 or 2 fish and just didn't weigh them, but 31 people had a goose egg. There were 52 people out of the 70 that I think had 3 fish or less. That's giving you an idea how tough the fishing is. And everyone that I've talked to on the river and all the correspondence that I've got, everyone has been struggling. It has been very, very slow. So just take that into consideration if you've been out here and having a tough day. Let's move back to this weekend. Just a ton of traffic out here. I think there were 4 tournaments, boats all over the place. It was hard to find a spot, and the fishing was extremely slow. Now, after the tournaments kind of burned off, since Monday, the fishing is gradually getting better and better. It's still super slow. Let me go over what most people are using. Last week, the number 1 bait was worms, and the number 2 bait was either a chatterbait or a crankbait. Well, the number 1 bait is still a worm, just a wacky rig worm, fish slow. The number 2 technique for this week, I'm going to say, is punching, especially for the bigger fish. A lot of the tournament guys that got the big fish were punching. So if you're coming out, obviously you want a worm on there, you want to start thinking about punching. Now, chatterbaits and crankbaits are still right up there. They may be the number 3 suggestion that I would have to have tied on. And the number 4 technique that's come into play this week is a lot of guys are saying they're using underspins or small swim baits, paddle tail swim baits like 3.8, 4.8 Kitex. So those are the baits you want to be using. And if you're using worms, you really want to slow down. Also, drop shot all the time out here, you're going to catch fish. So you keep those things in your rotation, you're going to catch fish. Let's talk about what's happened in the last couple days. I have seen a huge influx of not only males but females coming into shallow water. Today, you can see this is absolutely no wind, perfect conditions, a lot of sun, the water's warming up, we've got great clarity. This afternoon I'm going to really go around and look for some of these bigger fish. But what I have found is it's day to day. When I first started seeing them come in Monday and Tuesday, I would come back and look the next day and those fish would be gone. So the fish that are coming in are kind of looking and cruising and moving very quickly. Every now and then I have found fish on beds, and what I have found that they must be very fresh fish coming in, because the males are ready to bite if you work on them hard enough. The females just don't let you around them. So if you find one of those beds that's been there for a day or two, you may get a female, but for me, it's been all males that I've caught off the bed. I've also found that if I'm going to catch a fish out here, you have to pay attention to everything that is going on. It really helps to be out here a lot and know approximately where the fish are. And once you know where the fish are, come back and fish for them once you found them. Everything comes into play. Boat positioning, your shadow, making a long cast, getting a good presentation, fishing slow. I've been fishing a lot of worms, and I really am buttering them up with a lot of scent. I mean, everything you can do to catch that fish, you have to do. The big fish that are in the shallows are not easy to catch. I want to go back to the tournament, the Wild West. They had a 13-9 come in, and the guy that caught that was in the back of the boat. That might be telling us all something, that generally the guy in the front of the boat that's a professional a lot of times can get that fish. But in this case, the guy in the back of the boat picked up the bigger fish. Man, almost a 14-pound fish, and he's probably dragging and he did, I believe that fish was caught on a worm, and he's just dragging it behind the boat. I'd also like to talk about another phenomenon, and I'm going to show a few pictures here. You remember last week, Jeff, who'd been bank fishing for about 3 years, he caught his personal best. Got his picture up again, just to show you Jeff with his personal best. A couple days ago, I got a picture from Steve. He got his personal best on a dock, off of a dock in his backyard. A day or so ago, Joseph sent me his personal best. Huge fish, I think it was about 8 pounds, fishing off the bank, fishing out of his car. There's a common denominator here. All of these people that are fishing off the bank cannot run all around. They've got to sit in one spot, and they have to basically fish one area, and they're all getting these big fish. So that means either all of us guys with boats need to sell the boat and start fishing from the bank, or maybe we just have to start slowing down to a feverishly slow pace, a painfully slow pace. And for me, that's very difficult. I'm a guy that likes to move up and down the bank and just, cast, always active. I will be doing a video in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to call it carpet bombing, and it's a technique that I use out here to slow me down. I need to be slowed down every day. And if you guys are those people that say, I just can't sit there and fish a worm, this is going to be a great video for you, because it's a technique that will allow you to be active but still fish slowly. So be watching that video coming out. It'll be called carpet bombing or something like that. I also want to hit up a site called the Bass Hookup, and that is Nick and Thomas Kamamoto. They're local guys. They do a lot of local stuff here on the Delta, also Clear Lake. But I want you to go over to their site and watch their video. Watch them all, but especially watch How to Follow the Tide. That's the name of the video. Remember, a month or two ago, I came out with a video, Tide Talk, and I talked about if you should be running the tide, how to learn areas, how to learn to get to know the Delta before you start running the tide. If you watch my video, Tide Talk, and you watch the Bass Hookup, How to Follow the Tide, those two videos are meant to be paired together, believe me. And I don't know these guys, but when I looked at that video, I said, you know what? Both of these videos have to be watched at the same time. So if you watch Tide Talk and How to Follow the Tide, you'll get a really good idea of how to put a game plan together and fish the Delta. So make sure you watch the Bass Hookup. The deal is, just get out here. It is the time to be here. The fish are coming into the shallows. I have found that most of the fish that I'm seeing in tide are in protected waters. So if we have a wind coming from the north, you want to be fishing not on the windy side of the bank. Go to the bank, especially a bank like this that has tules on it, 2 to 4 feet of water. Get in that protected water. That's warming up quickly, and that's where I've seen most of the action. Just be aware that the fish are coming in and out. It's early pre-spawn, but it is pre-spawn. Some of the fish are on the beds. They're not super active. You've got to be really tough and just stick it out, move around, find fish, but once you find them, fish really, really slow. I think that's about all that I had to go over. Trying to look here. Yeah, that's about it. So guys, I hope to see you out here. Thank you for sending in the reports. Make sure you hit me up and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Get out here now. Now is the time, especially, I know I told you guys last weekend should have been it, and it was a little underwhelming. For some reason, the fish didn't bite, and the fishing has been slow, but I guarantee you it's going to be day to day, and it's going to be on an upward trend, and the fishing, it's going to break loose. Even if I'm telling, today I haven't caught a fish. I tried to get a few fish this morning on areas that I knew there were fish, and I went over and I was very careful. I didn't get a bite. As the sun comes up and I can look down, I'm really hoping I can get a couple of big fish, because I know they're in here, and I'm going to be real careful today. So just keep trying. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the water, and make sure you send me those reports. That's about it. Thanks for watching. See you guys next week.